All right, welcome back. Now, in the last video, we created this sidebar and this header, and we used floating groups. And this time, we're going to bring in the content in the middle, just like our design here. But before I go any further, I just wanted to fix a little bit here. Let's go back, because we forgot to add logout. There you go. So now it's good. In fact, to maintain some sort of a theme here, let's remove this style and change the background color to black. Okay, so that should do it. Now let's go ahead and bring in our content group right here. And as you see here, since these are floating containers or groups, this is actually going all the way up, right? This is a regular or normal group. Okay, first thing we do, let's remove the default style and give it a flat color. And while we're doing color, let's see, how about getting this color, right? I mean, I have a Chrome extension called eyedropper, so I'm just gonna use this to pick up this color. Actually, I have to get out of the responsive mode for this to work, so let's do it again. There you go. Now I have this color code. Let's copy it and put it back into the responsive mode. Let's go back and change our background color to that. There you go. And also at this point, let's name this main container. Okay, now let's go to layout. Here we're going to be putting content top to bottom, so let's choose this to column. And here, as we know before, our top bar had 80 pixel height, right? So we're gonna give it a top margin of 80. So now it's exactly at the bottom, and we had this width to 200. So let's give it a left margin of 200. Perfect. So now our content sits right there, right? Next thing we do, remove the fixed width so that it expands from end to end, and let's have no minimum width here. And at the moment we are gonna go with a minimum height of 400. And you saw before, when we don't do that and you drop in something, the parent just disappears, right? So for that reason, we're making it larger so that since it doesn't have any content, but it has enough space for us to drop stuff into it, right? Okay, so looks like our container is ready. Now let's bring in our first text element, and let's go with the default header, H1 heading dark, and call it members. That being said, now let's go to layout, remove the fixed width, and set our min width to 0 and minimum height to also 0. So that way it's only have content to hold on to. That being said, let's go now remove the default style and center it. So there we have it, our header, and let's check with our design. It looks pretty good. Maybe we need a little bit of a top margin there. So let's go to layout and give it a margin of 50. We can adjust that later. Okay, so quickly let's do a preview. All right, not bad at all. So now that our content structure is set, now we're going to be focusing on some dynamic data from the database. And in case you are new to Bubble, I'm just going to go ahead and go to our database and add some extra fields to it, and I'll show you up to one record, how to add one record. I'm not going to bore you with other details. And at this point, basically, we're going to add data to our database so that we can bring them in and show them here like this. So let's go to our user database. And first thing we do is go to this privacy rule, right? And if this is set, you're not going to be able to pull them and show them publicly like that, right? So at this point, for our project, we don't really need any privacy rule. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that so that it is now publicly visible. So when we pull data, it's going to show just fine. That being said, let's go to data type, and we're going to add a few fields like name. And this will be a text field. Create. Next would be role. This will also be a text field. Add. Next one is city, also text. Create. And last but not least, photo, and this has to be type image. Create. So now we have our fields. Now let's go to the data, all users, it's all empty. Now let's go create a new entry, city Sarasota, name, photo, this, role, email. Okay, and slug we should leave empty for Bubble to fill it up. So create. And we have our first piece of data. Now that you know how to create fields and add data to your database, I'm going to go ahead and fill up the rest of the slots and come back. Okay, so we are back. As you can see, I have all the necessary data added. Now let's go back to our design. And one small thing I want to fix here is go back to the text and layout, and I want to add a bottom margin of 30 pixel also. Okay, that being done, now let's go and bring in our repeating group. All right, and this should be users. And before we do anything with it, I just want to make sure that we're connecting a data source to it. Click here, do a search for user, close. When this turns blue, we know we have a data source. And then let's remove the fixed row. Okay, and also the column should not be fixed either. And we're going to go ahead and put a height of 400 in here and a width of 270. And these things I've already calculated out myself by trial and error, so that's why I'm just putting them on. Okay, so now let's go ahead and remove the styling and give it a flat color background. Let's just for now give it something reddish like that so that we can keep track of the size and shapes. Now let's go back to the layout. Let's choose a column layout. Remove the fixed width and make the minimum width 0. And for the moment, we're going to maintain this 350 height. Okay, so next thing we do, add a 10 pixel margin on every side. Okay, so now our repeating group is ready. Now let's bring in our card container, which is another group, and we're gonna call this a card. And here also we're gonna set up a column layout. We will remove the fixed width, minimum width of 0, and for now let's make it a little bit larger, 350. Now go back, actually now call this the card. Go to appearance, bring in the data source, user, current cells user, remove the default styles, give it a roundness of 30 pixels, and have a flat background. And at this point, let's keep it white. And let's give it a 10 pixel margin everywhere. Okay, and inside, let's have a 10 pixel of padding. All right, now our card is ready, but first thing we're going to do now is bring in an image and make sure we're actually communicating with the database. Here we go insert the parent group user, and we're going to find their photo, and let's see, profile photo, layout. We're going to maintain this fixed width, but we're going to bring it down to 100 pixel and maintain a fixed aspect ratio and center it. Give it a top margin of 20 pixel. That being done, let's do a preview. There you go. Our images are here. So let's check on something. We did, okay, there you go. Our roundness wasn't up to par. And another thing I forgot to add here is that I normally use process with ImageX and resize dimensions by cropping. In case of their size differences, it's going to crop and make them fit in perfect shape. Now let's do preview again. There you go. We have our images nicely showing up, circled, centered, and cropped. All right, so let's take one good look at our target design. So we're going to be bringing in now the data, the name, email, role, and city, right? So let's do that. Go back, and this time we're going to go ahead and bring in a text item here. And first thing first, we're going to go ahead and parent group user name. Now let's see if we can use H2, right? It's maybe too large. Let's go get H3. Okay. Let's remove the default styling, make it bold, centered, and remove the fixed width and minimum width down to 0 and minimum height down to 0. Boom. Right, let's have a preview and try to look at, okay, so our names are a little bit larger, so let's go change the font size to 18. Preview. Okay. All right, and now looks like we need a little bit of a margin on top. Let's give it a 20 pixel. Good. All right, so now that this has been established, so all we have to do, highlight this, the text parent group user, Control C, Control V, and this one we change the data source to email and unbold it preview. Okay, looking good, but at this point I think we should not have a 20 pixel on top, instead a 10. And now we highlight this, do a Control C, Control V, and Control C, Control V. And here we're going for the roll. And we need to add a little label in front. So let's go to the text editor and we're gonna say roll. Maybe just roll like that, space, and highlight this and bold it. Save. Let's do a preview. Okay, let's go back, and this one, let's change it to city. Let's go to the text editor, city, colon, space, and highlight to make it bold. Save that. Let's preview. There you go. All right, so now we have our structure, and let's give it a little bit of finishing touch, because as you can see, there's some lines of it, showing up. And to remove those lines, there's a separator, right? It's set to 1 pixel. We make that 0. Now let's preview, and let's make sure they are breaking properly. Look at that. They're doing nice breakage here, but at this point things break, right? This is where on the next video we're going to implement something like this. See, as they break, at certain point it just collapses. So now all the way to 360 or so, we're still looking good, but at the same time we can actually click here and make the menu come on and close the menu. And as we expand again, our sidebar comes up. So that's something is coming up next. But before we go, let's take this color, this background color that we captured here before, again, and go back. Let's change this background color. Control V that, and highlight these guys, and take a shadow type of outset. Let's preview. There you go. We're closing in slowly but surely towards our target design. And while we are at it, why not handle this guy too? Let's go again. Let's use that eyedropper again and pick up on this background color. Oh, sorry, because I have to get out of the responsive mode, and again pick it up. That's the color. Let's copy that, come back here, go to the editor, highlight this sidebar, use the background color, manually paste it. Once that is done, now let's highlight. Actually, what we have to do, right click, copy formatting, highlight this, right click, paste formatting. Now let's go preview. Boom, look at that, almost identical. And now that we have come this far, why don't we handle this guy also? Once again, drop down, pick up a color, picked it up, copy it. Let's go back to the editor. Let's go with the base first, header. Change the background color like that, and then right click, copy formatting, highlight this, right click, paste formatting, preview, boom, look at that. So now they are pretty much identical. Okay, this concludes this session. Next, we're going to go ahead and make sure that it doesn't break like that. What should happen is this. Once we go very closer to the certain target size, our sidebar will collapse and it will have a button to open it and close it, and when we increase the size, our sidebar will come back. So the next part will be pretty exciting. If you like this video, please smash the like button and please don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please smash the like button and the subscribe button. This will help me bring more free contents like this to you every week. Thanks again.